welcome to my first blog. My name is Roshni, and I'm very excited to be doing this. I've been wanting to blog for a very long time, and I've read so many books last year in 2025, and um, I was really curious to try this, so let's see how it goes. For my first book that I read, I actually started this book in 2025 and just recently finished. Um, and I was very excited to read this book. I've heard about Hannah Bohem Young for a long time, and I've heard a lot about her books. And People Watching was one of my first books that I read of hers. I was a little skeptical about whether I should start with People Watching or start with one of her earlier reads. But since this is her most recent read, I thought I'll just start there and then just see how I like it and then go back to her previous reads. So just let's get into it. Let's get into the summary of the book. So this book is about Prudence, who lives in a small town called Bayvilles, and she runs a grocery store slash gas station store with her family. It's like a family-owned store, and the main man character, his name is Milo. He's kind of a nomad. He comes into town because his older brother calls him to help him run a open a bar. So he kind of comes into town, and then Prudence and Milo meet one day when Milo comes into Prudence's family's convenience store, and from there they kind of just form like a friendship, and he tries to kind of help her be more outgoing. Um, and then that turns into a little bit more romantic feelings, and they kind of um, start having like friends plus kind of benefits relationship. Um, so that's what the story of the book, synopsis of the story basically is. This book really reminded me of Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez, which I read last year because both of just a little spoiler here, both of the main characters' uh, moms deal with Alzheimer's, and the male main character from both books, they're both from out of town, and they kind of come into the small town and kind of help the female main character deal with their mom's Alzheimer's and kind of also um, blend in with their families. So that's where the similarities that I seen. Um, I kind of liked what I liked about this book was the bond that Milo and Prudence kind of formed with each other's families and supported each other's families, um, and also how Prudence helped Milo with his brother's opening bar night, which I thought was kind of really nice for them to get involved in each other's families. What I didn't really enjoy most about this book was the intimate parts with Prudence and Milo. I felt those were a little too intense, and they were just describing details, and I just felt like perhaps the author could have just given a little bit more less details about them, or just kind of included fewer scenes with them. And at some point, I felt like maybe I should just not finish this book because it was just like those scenes were just too much, and I didn't really feel like they really connected to the story that much, or were they really that relevant. But I still kept reading the book, so you kind of find out like what happens at the end. I did end up skipping some pages because of those intimate scenes. And another thing that it really did not really connect with was Milo, the main character. He was just described as this very artistic, macho person who has also like a softer side, and that just there were just the way that he was described. It just didn't do it for me. Um, and at times I just felt like Milo was very dominating. Plus, some of the things that he said to Prudence were a bit odd. And I think when I saw a few blogs about it as well, I think there were other people who also mentioned that that's one of the things that they did not like about Milo. So I just didn't think that they really fit well together. So it's kind of hard to like root for them. Um, Overall, I thought I would give this book like a 3 stars because of like the intimate scenes that I mentioned that I did not really quite enjoy, and I was not able to connect really well with the characters. Um, and I felt like maybe the ending could be a little bit more different. I, uh, I mean, I thought the ending was kind of predictable, which I guess in romance novels it is. The endings are predictable, but I just thought it could have been a little bit more better, or like as I mentioned before, the character, male main character could have been described a little bit more better, and that's why I just didn't really care too much for him. Um, so for my next read, I'm actually going to reread People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. This book is probably one of my favorite Emily Henry books. This is actually the third time I'm reading it. I already started reading it about like a week ago. Um, and there's like the TV show, the TV movie just came out a few weeks ago, just this morning. So I think I'm going to finish reading the book, and then I want to watch the movie to see and compare and contrast which one, how they're different, how they're alike, and which one I like better, the book or the movie. I'm predicting that I'm going to like the book better because usually I like the book better versus the movies or TV shows when I watch them. But I'm still very open to, to watching the movie and seeing how it is, whether I like it or not. I've heard a lot about the movie, so I'm kind of really excited to watch it. But I don't want to rush too much into finishing this book because it is one of my favorite books. And I want to take my time reading it. I just like, reading about the two characters in the book going through all these countries and having all these experiences. So I do want to take some time reading these books, reading the book and then watching the movie, obviously. And also another thing I want to talk about is the uh, TBR that I have for this year. And this is just some books that I want to read that are new, that are coming out, are coming out this year. So some of the books that I have on my TBR are Heart Lover by Lily King. I believe this was a book that came out last year, but I didn't get to it last year. And I just recently watched a podcast where they described the book, and it kind of sounds like it might be something that I'm interested in, but I would first have to read it and then kind of decide. And then also Once and Again by Rebecca Searley. It's also on my TBR for 2026. Rebecca Searley's books are one of my favorite books ever. I'm really excited that she's finally has a book out in 2026. I think the last book that she had that came out in 2024, and then there was nothing in 2025. So I'm really excited that she's finally coming out with a book. And then also The First Time I Saw Him by Laura Davy. This is the Hannah Hall number 2. It is a sequel to first, the last thing he told me, which is her first book, and then it was made into an Apple TV show. I did read the book. I watched maybe like 1 or 2 episodes of the series, but I have to go back and watch the rest of the series. And then another book that I found was Is This a Cry for Help by Emily R. Austin. I feel like I've heard of this author. Um, she she has, I think, written some other books that I may have read. I have to go back and check. I'm not quite sure. And then another book that I had is The Last Page by Katie Holt. I think I just came across this book on on Goodreads, and I may have heard about it. I may have come across it of it here and there, but I'm not quite sure. And then there's another book called Bad Asians by Lillian Lee, and I just kind of read the synopsis of the book, and it seems kind of interesting. It's about these four friends, so I'm gonna try it. And then another book that I have on my TBR is Most Eligible by Isabel Engel. I think it just recently came out in January, so I'm kind of looking forward to reading that and seeing if I like it or not. And then another book that I have is Until Next Summer by Allison Ashley. Kind of seems like a good summer read about maybe like a summer romance. I just love reading romance books, so maybe I might give this a try and see if it's any good. Hopefully, it won't be too cheesy, but if it is, that's okay. I like cheesy books. The Odds of You by Katie Darmis is another one. I kind of also read the synopsis of this book and thought it was kind of interesting. So I'm kind of excited to try this book. Another one is No Matter What by Cara Bastone. I've read like one book by Cara Bastone a couple years ago. I have her second book, but haven't read it yet. So maybe I'll add that to my TBR as well, and then read that before No Matter What comes out, and then kind of decide if Cara Bastone is an author that I enjoy reading. Hopefully, this book will be good as well as her book that came out in 2025. And then another book that I have is Just Friends by Haley Pham. I've heard about this book and kind of seems like something that I would be interested in. Some romance, maybe like a beach read. So I'm really looking forward to reading this. And then I have A Gingerbread Bakery, The Dream Harbor, #5. I actually bought this book from Costco a couple weeks ago, so I thought it would be kind of interesting to read it. So, and I didn't get to during the holidays, so maybe I might try to read it, on a different time, and see, if I like them. I have read a few of her other books, and I thought they were okay. They were not too cheesy, but they were a bit predictable. Um, and some of them just kind of were kind of long and just kind of went into detail too much. But I'm willing to give this one a try. And then another one that I'm very excited to read is In Your Dreams. It's a When in Rome, #4 by Sarah Adams. I've read her other three books. I thought they're pretty good. They're, cute stories about these four sisters. If you haven't, I'm sorry, three sisters. If you haven't read them, you should start. You should, consider reading them. They're really cute. They live in the small town of Rome, Kentucky, I believe. And and then another book that I had is Every Version of You. I think I saw this somewhere a couple of days ago, and just thought it would be kind of interesting to read. And then another one, I mentioned Cara Bastone before. Her book that came out last year, Promise Me Sunshine. When the book came out, I was really excited to read it. I went to Barnes and Noble and got it immediately. But it's been sitting on my shelf for months now, so I have to get through it at least, hopefully, in the first quarter of 2026. I can get to it, but there are other books that were on my TBR for 2025 that I haven't read, so maybe I'll get those read first and then maybe include this as well. And then going back to the Dream Harbor series, I have the Cinnamon Bookstore, which is the second book that Laurie Gilmore wrote of the series. And then also the Daisy Chain Flower Shop, which is the sixth book, which hasn't come out yet. So I'm hoping to read both of those in 2026. And then another book that I have is The Night We Met, which is by Abby Jimenez. I thought this I saw this book a couple weeks ago somewhere, and I thought it was kind of interesting. I read one book by Abby Jimenez, as I mentioned before, so hopefully I can get this on my get this read soon that it comes out. And then Carly Fortune, who's one of my favorite authors, Our Perfect Storm is coming out in, I believe, in April or May. So I'm looking forward to reading that as well. And then this is another book that I had actually gotten from the library last year, but I didn't end up reading, was It's a Different Time by Joss Richard. It's like a fall kind of friends to lovers trope. So if you enjoyed that, perhaps you might want to read that book as well. Um, I think I might read this. I don't think I want to wait until the fall to read this, but I might, just depending on what other books I get to before that. And then my last one that I have right now is And Back to You, the Heartstrings #2 book by B.K. Borson. And this is actually, I read two other books by B.K. Borson, and I thought they were okay, but I still want to give B.K. Borson another chance because maybe this book will be good. So that's what I have for this so far on my TBR for 2026. I'll probably add more, but I don't think I want to read. I don't think I'm going to be able to read as many books as I read last year, which was about, I would say, like 37, 38 books. I want to get more into maybe like 20, 25, which I know each year I should probably be uh, reading more books, but this year I think I want to like also focus on other things, so I might not get to 38 books. So I want to make a goal for at least 20 to 22, maybe 25. So let's see how that goes. All right, so that's all I have for today. So see you next time, where I'll be reviewing the people we meet on vacation by Emily Henry, the book, and also the movie. All right, bye. That's all for now.